This is GlintPM. Like, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Thank you. Hi, welcome. In this tutorial, I'd like to show you three common mistakes in Primavera P6 that beginners usually make, and I will show you practically how to handle this mistake and how to avoid them. Please just relax and follow the tutorial. As usual, I like to create a new EPS for this tutorial so that I can keep track on the thing I've showed you guys today. I want to have so common mistakes. Common mistakes. I've created the EPS. I just want to make a copy of the schedule that I'll be using for my tutorial. I have a copy of the schedule now. And I'm going to open it up and demonstrate the first mistake. So the first mistake we are going to look at is the by the way, if you have not watched the tutorial on how to manually layout, please uh, please go and watch it. Maybe I will also show the link in the tutorial. And once again, if you are watching my tutorial, please like, please comment, please share with everyone that wants to get into project control. And if you have questions, drop in the comment section. And if you want to reach out to me, check my bio. You can reach out if you have any challenge or you need job support or you need help on your project or you want to give us assignments, please reach out to us. We're open to serve you. Thank you. So the first mistake I like to show you is the relationship. How to deal with relationship because relationship is very important, right? In schedule. And usually we have four type of relationship: finish finish, finish start, start finish, and start start. Okay. So in most cases you see people trying to use this logic. Okay. So that logic should be avoided as much as possible. In this schedule you can see I use start start and I use finish start, and you will not see where I use start finish. So it's possible maybe when you're just starting, you're just experimenting, and you come across this start finish logic. Yes, so let's try to analyze it. You are saying, for instance, if I change this, okay, so let's use this excavation as site preparation. So the predecessor to excavation here is site preparation, right? And we have two successors to excavation. We have instead of ground, water line, and we have telecom installation foundation. Okay, so if I said that the predecessor to excavation should be the relationship between them should be start finish. So literally, so let's try to interpret what this logic is saying. This logic is saying that um, by the time we start uh, site preparation, right, it means excavation has finished. So, so in reality, it's practically impossible for you to have an activity that will give you this kind of scenario when the successor will finish before the predecessor starts, right? So this logic should be avoided in your schedule, this start finish. If by any mistake you come across it, don't waste time, don't hesitate, make sure you change the logic or you analyze your schedule and look at what can be the right thing you can do. So the best our logic is this finish start FS, okay, because that will give you the perfect definition or perfect way to manage your schedule and to track the progress. Okay, for instance, if you say okay, start preparation, finish, then you start excavation, it make a lot of sense. However, in reality, this type of thing too might be difficult because yeah, when you start preparation, let's say for a big project or a large project, start preparation can take months, 2, 3, 4 months, 6 months, as the case may be. So meanwhile, let's say you are laying pipeline or you want to do foundation for your buildings. So I mean, you can actually do part of the excavation alongside the site preparation. So you don't have to finish the site preparation. So this become a seamless operation or simultaneous operation or what we call concurrent activities that you can do together. So in that case, you can actually look at it that okay, you make it what start to start. However, they might not be starting the same time. So this is where we also use lag. But in some project, you might the rules might be okay, we don't want you to use lag. So that's why even the start to start relationship should be used minimally. So we can also use lead here and say, okay, finish the start, but before this one will finish, we use maybe it will start, the other one will start 10 days before the producers will finish. And this is called lead because it has negative lag. So, but even this one too should be used minimally. Take note, minimally. So, usage of lag and lead should be used minimally. That is in a case where there is no rule specifying the project from the sponsor or the client to you. So, but if there is no rule, you can use it minimally, maybe between -5 plus 5, or in worst case, between -10 plus 10 lag or lead, right? So, but in the real sense, your schedule should show what is practicable with the project. So, and your duty as a scheduler is or planner is to be able to inform your team that okay, let's put it this way based on the schedule. So you look at it, you analyze it, what's the best case scenario and what's the worst case scenario. So if we should do these activities before this one finish, this is the implication you explain to the team. Okay, if you have to wait for 6 months before we start excavation, we're going to be losing resources, maybe there's going to be some risk attached to it. So all this should be analyzed. Okay. Um, but if I are the one that is going to work on this schedule, I will either change to start and use some lag, maybe 6 days. So after I start site preparation, we can actually after 6 days we can start doing our excavation. So that is mistake number one. Take note. Avoid the use of um, start finish relationship. Use the finish and start minimally. I'll talk more about the finish and start relationship in the third mistake that I would like to show you. The second mistake that I would like to show you that most people make is during updating of their schedule, right? The first mistake was usually is when you're preparing the schedule, maybe from the beginning, right? You can make that mistake. But during updating, you start seeing people using what we call constraints, okay? And even during planning at the beginning. Some people might use constraint too. So most people that are not very good with Primavera, or maybe they are used to Microsoft project, they come and say, okay, if you are told that, okay, we want these activities to be done in, or these activities, yes. So after updating, let's say yes, after updating the your schedule, for instance, so you now have it that in this case, this is our data date is October 18, and let's look at this activity: review and approve design. Our data date is October 18, and this activity is supposed to start November 12, like based on the baseline, and everything is good. But maybe after a project review meeting with the client, they said they will not be able to start the review. Maybe they have shortcoming of resources that will do the review, and they are looking forward to, okay, we want to start this instead of November 12th, we want to start November 20th. That's when they'll be able to start this review and design. So meanwhile, you have already updated the predecessor that is driving this, which is in progress. That is design, building, and addition. So that's what is driving this, which is fine because this design we finished in November 11. So by implication, it means this one will start November 12 based on the logic you had before. So now you know you're now sort of idea. What are you going to do? You just go straight to your uh, constraint and just put the constraint there. Now, and you said, okay, must start, and you use what starts on or after, or you start on or before anyone. Let's say start on and after. So you can see the sign of the constraint now. So you now change the date, right? You now change this date to November 20. So you change it to November 20. Yes, it will work, right? It will work because let me remove this column so that it will not confuse you. The column for the baseline. Yes, so it will work because it's a constraint. So it's a soft logic. It's a way of use forcing the logic or the date. I think that's how to put it in a simple language. You are forcing the date so that this activity will be done November 20, 2025. However, what this means is that the previous logic driving you have cut it off. So the flow of the work or how this logic of the software, you know, determine the subsequent days based on your relationship or your logic. You have cut it off. You have forced this one in between. So that is the implication. So whether you change the data date or not, let me show you. This date will be fixed. For instance, if you change the data date from October 18 to, let's say today is October 30th. Okay, so if I change this date now to October 30th and I run the schedule, you can see, okay, I think the date still change. Okay, it's not supposed to change because we have put a constraint. But I think the driving activity is still imparting it. But let's try it again. Do you want to add start or now after? Yes, yes. So I want to run the schedule again. Okay, it's still changing the date. That is because the predecessor is still driving it. But usually, it's because I still have this activities uh, predecessor link, so it's still driving affecting the constraint. But usually, and what we have is okay. So let's try it again. Alright, I've removed the predecessor now. I just want to show you this mistake because I've seen. people doing the same. Okay, now you can see this date remain. If this constraint is not here, this date will have taken the date of the data date, which is October 30th, because there is no predecessor. This is a dangling activity, right? But because we have hard coded the logic, we have make it okay a fixed date. So that's what it means. So this date will stand because we have added a constraint. Even without no predecessor that is going to help you determine the date, this date will stand. Okay. So that's why it is good to avoid constraint without mindlessly. So you don't use constraint mindlessly. Take note of that. And so for me to still show you this, let me um, let me remove the constraint. So I'll remove the constraint and I'll run the schedule time. So this is what I mean. It will take the data date. So our data date is what? October 30th. So you take the data date. So before what I did was to force it to make sure that it starts on or after. Or you can say start on. So November 20th. So and recall I said no predecessor. So if there is no predecessor, the date will have been the date of the data date because it's a dangling activity. You have to make sure all the hand-to-hand relationship is established in your schedule. If I'm running now, this November will still because I've already hard coded it. I've already told the software to keep this date fixed no matter what. So that is how to use constraint. Um, if you do it like this, always consult with the project team if uh, they want it. If they want it, I mean, you have to make sure you comply with what your team and the client is comfortable with. So, or if that is the only choice that's available. But for a good practice, it is better to avoid the use of constraint. Allow the logic to drive the 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 date. So what if I'm the one in this case, what I'll do is so I'm going to bring back the initial relationship is that I will not put any constraint here. Okay, so I'll first remove the constraint. Since I was told that okay, they will not be able to start the project or these activities uh, on the initial plan date, which is November 12th. And they will now start November 20. So what I'll do is I'll remove the constraint now. Then there is a relationship. There is an activity driving this before, which is this design building addition. So this is how it is before I remove it to demonstrate. So this is what we have before. Okay, I think I moved the data date to October 30th. So let me bring back the data date to I think it's October 18th. Data date was October 18th. Okay, yes, October 18th. So we have this actually starting based on the this logic starting November 12th. So as at this time, what we should have or what we can do is okay. So even if the design building edition will finish by November 11, this one we can start because we have challenge with our resources that will do the review. So one of the things we can do is to add lag. You can use lag to manage it. So let's say if I add lag of 6 days, you can see it take us to November 20th. That is without changing data date. And if you are changing the data date, let's say we also move the data date to uh, that is October 30th. Let's say we're now in October 30th. We're now in October 30th. And this date has been put to December. or we want November. Uh, so let me add lead now. So that is negative tag. So if we should do this, let's run the schedule. See what we get. So this is November 14. We want that it. So this is -2. Okay, so perfect. So this is a way of managing it. I think this is still a little bit better than, yes, I said we should avoid lag and lead too when I was explaining relationship, but you can still use it minimally. Do not use it too much. In a situation like this, when you have to update maybe one or two activities, I think it's fine. So, and it's better than constraint, because constraint we actually um, affect your critical paths. Some of those activities might be delayed, but you will not know. I think that's the implication of constraint. Because if you use constraint, some of those activities might be delayed, but you will not know because you have already forced that date. So you'll not be able to properly track delay activities or your progress. So avoid um, constraint if you can, unless it's an agreement with the team. So the last mistake I want to explain is um, managing milestone. Okay, so put the data date back to October 18. Managing milestone. For instance, in this my schedule, okay, there was no milestone. I did not have milestone here. I specifically a session for milestone, but it is good, a good practice to have a session for milestone management in your schedule. Okay, so I'll put this up. I'll call this milestone. So I've created the milestone WBS. Yes, managing WBS tools. A lot of people make mistake with that, but I can do another video for that. So, so for now, I just want to show you one or two milestones here. I don't know if I've explained milestone before, but let's say start engineering or commence engineering, or I think it's the same, commence engineering, finish, complete engineering. These are key milestones. This for milestone is a point of reference, a point of achievement. So let me still add one more, complete foundation. Okay, and finally, I think this tree is fine. So let's just work with this tree. So here we have one of the things you know about milestone is by the time you change an activity to milestone, so this is we have start and finish milestone, right? So this start milestone, commence engineering, it means your start. So you can see where the date is showing. The other two is complete. So it's going to be finish milestone, finish milestone. Um, Finally, we have, so for the commence engineering, it's a start milestone, right? So what I'm trying to let you know here is most people they just link the milestone like they link the activities normally. However, you should have established the logic for your schedule before you now link the milestone to the activities that is they are connected to or they are supposed to be tied to. So by so doing, you'll be able to get a good logic for your schedule. For example, this is when, yes, although this is a milestone type of activity under here, which is specified here. So, but what I just need to do now is to link this to commence milestone. So it means um, for me to do this now, I'll just assign this milestone, I'll assign it to this milestone under engineering. And you can see by default, the relationship will start to start because this is start milestone, this is start milestone. So by default, you just take the date. If I run the schedule, you will see it to take the date of this, this, it, yes, normally it's supposed to take the date of this, these activities. However, because we have started updating the project before showing you, so yes, there is a mismatch in this date because already this activity is completed. So it's already updated complete, and that's why it cannot give you the correct date here. So, and since this activity is in progress, I'll just need to update it. By the time you check the milestone, it will just check everything complete because it's a milestone. So it doesn't have duration. The duration is 0. So I can now adjust this date to the actual date when that milestone was completed and it's actually September 15, not 18. So this is how to manage milestone. The second thing there is complete engineering. Complete engineering, we have to look for the activities that will have the last date in completing the engineering activities. You can add more than one predecessor as you desire, but I'll just look at the activities here is review technical data on heat pump, which will start the last thing here, which is January 6th. So I'll make it the predecessor. I think these activities will be the previous, and by default, you can see the relation is finish. So if I run the schedule now, it's supposed to give me January 6th. Can you see it? So I don't need to stress myself because I've linked it to the right activities. So in case of managing critical path, you can link it to more than one activity that are close because in case there is a delay in this activity you link it to, this one will still drive a milestone. Okay, so the last one is complete foundation. So let's say the activity at complete foundation is March 16. So it's two of them, right? So the first one is March, the other one is fulfill and complete was an activity. So I will link it to these two activities to drive complete foundation. I'll go to predecessor, so I'll link it to this milestone. I'll link it to the other one, fulfill. So you just need to take care of the ID. Granted by default, they are all finish. If I run it, I cannot see the effect. It's March 16. Okay, so this is how to properly link your milestone activities in Primavera P6, and this is a good way for you to manage your schedule. So try it out and let me know if you have a question in the comment section. Um, I hope you learn one or two from this session, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. This is GlintPM. Like, subscribe, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Thank you.